Alright guys, so we are going to make the Corsi-Rosenthal DIY air filter box. So we're going to use these 2-inch 20 by 20 MERV 13 air filters. We've got the little arrow that shows the direction of flow, and I'll have an affiliate link of those in the description. Then we also have our Lasco fan. This one's not Lasco, this is the Ultralight. So we're going to use the Ultralight fan, and I'll go over why shortly. But the general premise of this is when you're building the box, you're going to have the butt of one side going up to the side of the other, all the way around, so it creates a perfect square. Then what we're going to be doing is the 20-inch box fan gets put on top, sealed in with duct tape, and then it's going to be sucking air through the filters on the side and then blowing it out the top. I went with a 2-inch air filter to increase the surface area, because I tried this once before just by taping the filter right to the back of this box fan, and it was restricting the airflow of the box fan. So that was not good. So with this, we have 4 filters, which will increase airflow. And then since they're 2 inches and it's a zigzag, you've doubled the surface area of each filter as opposed to a 1-inch filter. Simba's going to make an appearance. Hello, Simba. So that's the plan. So I'm going to get right into it. We'll see where we go from there. So I'm going to use some tiny pieces of duct tape just to get a rough idea of how we're going to have them all connected. And then I'll make a more secure connection with it later to really stop any airflow from going in. And it's important to note that when the butt of one is going to the face of the other, then the face of this one should be going against the butt of the other. Make sure all of the arrows that show the flow are facing into the box. Like I said, right now I'm just taping the boxes to hold it in place. Things into the box to hold it in place, and then later we're going to run along the seams. So since the butt of this one is going to be on the face of this, and the butt of that. We're also going to flip this over and do the same on the bottom. Get rid of obviously the uneven gaps of the bottom. The butt of that one, so it goes to the side of this one. And there. Easiest way to get this flipped over. There we are. So now I'm going to make similar, just supporting connections on the tops here. Roll it. the box in its roughest form, because later on we're going to run down this and seal any of those gaps so that all the airflow is coming in through the filters. So I'll have a link for this Utilitech fan in the description. The reason I went with this one is because the feet can rotate so then they're not impeding the box. And then the good thing is this one, with the 2-inch fan, with the 2-inch filters, there is no need to fill a gap here on the side because it's just deep enough that there's no exposed hole here on the side. So that's phenomenal. And then we did use the foot here that spun to hold the power cord around the base so it comes out the front, because otherwise obviously it'd be going through the filters. And then we're just going to tape along this, and then you'll be plugging this in, air comes in from the side, not the top. What we are also going to add is a cardboard piece on the bottom. So I have just a piece of a cardboard box that probably got shipped from Amazon, and we're going to put it underneath it, we're going to trace it out, we're going to cut it to size, and then we'll be taping it to the bottom so then there's no airflow slipping in from underneath that isn't coming through the filters. And then we're going to duct tape the fan down, and then that'll be all she wrote. So let's get to it. Someone just wants to be just in frame, don't you, buddy? Alright, since I have a smooth edge here, I'm going to line that up with one side. So if you had a perfectly squared box, you could do a corner of it and then just cut two sides. But that's not as perfect. Now I do have the urge to grab a square and make sure that we square it off. But when you're eyeballing it, it looks good enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab our little razor blade, hold it in position and score it all the way around. Down, so then you can bend along the score that you make. Just cut along that score. identical up and down. This. And now we can secure it to the top with the duct tape. The bottom, however you want to think about it. Right now in this clear position at the top. Start with the flattest side I've got, which is the one that was already cut at the shop when the cardboard was made. Gaps, and that we don't tear the duct tape long ways, because that obviously won't work. So, try it again. This time I'm going to go the length filter. Cover up the filter itself. And you see it go all the way down into the filtered part. All the way across. Here, same thing. Full length across. I intentionally made this a little longer because I didn't fill this corner here. These two aren't 100% perfect. I might trim it down a little bit more. It's not that big a deal. As long as you can seal it up, it's fine. I guess the good strategy now is to make sure it's a little bit longer. So if you need to wrap it around the corner, you can. Quite long enough to wrap the corner appropriately, so we're going to finish it off by this down. One last corner that did pose a problem, having an overlay a little bit because that's why the side looks so rough. So what I am going to do is I'm going to flip this over, then I am going to use this as a guide, aim kind of inward to the filter. Without cutting the filter. For myself, so I'm going to go out with scissors right across the So when all else fails, use some scissors, trim it up. Make sure that you don't have a big overhang filter side causing it to look real ugly. Alright, there we go. Pour this duct tape in long ends. And more than the width. Make sure we can wrap this corner on both sides and be done with the bottom. Start with the sides. This triangle. Kind of like you're wrapping a Christmas gift. Triangle again. And again. Alright. Now, perfectly good base. It's very solid. Now, what we need to do is make sure there's no cat hair in the mix. We need to put a solid piece of tape right across here to ensure that we're not having any airflow past these gaps. The whole point, we want all the airflow to come through this. So, we'll kind of hold up like that. So we'll go with it. I'm just applying a little bit of pressure on the downward side. Get over here. And now I have the scissors. We'll make it a little bit easier to cut the duct tape. Yes, duct tape should rip on its own fairly easily, but duct tape and I are not friends today. Cut a little bit of an overhang so we can fold it over the edge to ensure that we're getting a solid seal across the side. Rotate it to the next one. This one, get our tape on one. Every seam smooth all the way around. There, filter box pretty good. And adding the 2-inch, doing the 2 inch instead of the 1 inch, not only gets rid of the gap around where the corners of the fan will go, it also makes it more sturdy. This is a pretty sturdy box now that we've got it all put together. So now we're gonna come over here, we're gonna grab the box fan itself. The main goal of squaring it off would be to ensure that we don't have any holes on the edge where air can be passing through. You know, the side where the feet is doesn't matter. It doesn't need to be flush with either side because you're not going to have it on its side. This will always face up. So this looks like the best position for me. So I'm going to go around and duct tape it into position. And I'll start with just enough to be on a smooth surface, so before the fan rounds. Starting tightly on the fan itself, and then rolling down with my finger to get it to touch the filter. And bending over the edge of the filter. Side as well. Maybe I'll position it a little more so you guys can see it better. Going, cutting away. Putting it on the fan itself first, like so. And running it smoothly down until it makes contact with the filter. Obviously, we're going to go the rest of the way around to seal off all the holes. It just makes sense to do the smooth parts at once. This makes it a little odd because the power cord is lifting this portion a little bit, so it's not super flush. So keep that in mind when doing the power cord side. But unless you want to cut a notch into the filter, which I really don't recommend doing, you can work around it with just some of the duct tape. But just know that it's not going to be flush against the top filters because of that wire. Again, these are all just placeholders so that we can go around the corner here. These are all just placeholders. And then we go around longer pieces or just the right piece to fill whatever gap is left. party again. Secure. We should also have one more side here. Go. Best thing to do is make sure you don't have a lot of creases going along in it. So alright, we've got it secured in at least one spot all the way around. Now, we'll start handling these corners. Not 100% sure how yet. Figure it out on our own. There you go. So if I fold it up when I wrap it around, that works. Bend it, roll it down. That works. We'll go over what I just did on this side. What I did. Length. Okay. And I started on the fan itself, trying to line up with the length of where the other ones were. Without attaching it to the filter, bent it up. So then we're wrapping it around with the bottom half of it facing up. Now we're going to go all the way down to the bottom of the filter. Top of the filter, I'm going to look at it. And then start pushing the tape down. Stick it right to the edge right here. I'm going to take this down a little bit to not stay down as smoothly as the other. Probably the pressure because I was talking while doing it. Take that down. I think we'll start with that next time. Meaning we go all the way around. Facing up, we're going to flip this down first. So let's try that over here. Clear it out. Cut it. Make sure you're working with a clean surface. We've got Simba air going around, hence the need for the air filter, as well as any other medical regime you may have. MERV 13 works fairly well. Corner here, stick it down. And then we're going to go the rest of the width, stick it down. this width. Stick it down. Doing it that way, I've got a good seal right here. Trying to make sure I get the gap of where that is, and we might just run a piece. So here we could have some concern of air getting out of the little gap here at the end. If we put a piece of tape across this, now you can seal that gap in on itself. But it looks like that gap is actually doing a good job of filling itself out by stretching with that tape. Yeah. So one more corner, and then we're going to take care of the power cord. So again, up, down, stretch the cord first. Important to note, right here when I was pressing this down, I ripped it. So you want to make sure you go over it to make sure that you haven't accidentally ripped anything while smoothing it out. And there's nothing that needs to be quote unquote patched. Duct tape. Patch. Good. The only spot we have left now is around this power cord. Now I have this holding the power cord up that way. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate. I'm going to leave it holding nothing out of the way. And we're going to tape around it because I don't see any easier way to do it. First of all, we're going to take this thin piece. Okay. We're going to seal right underneath it. Best course of action, in my opinion, is going to be to go right over it and seal around it. So start on one side. Smooth it out all the way right up against it. Top of it. Things. Very little airflow is going to be going through that, if any. Now we'll give it a spin. Make sure there's no areas of airflow that we missed. Should be good to go. So now, we can go ahead and plug it in. Turn it on the low to begin with. Get a pretty good amount of airflow. We go up again. And then out. All right. Working. I don't see any signs of airflow coming from any other direction. I'm going to set this up in my house and we're going to let it run for a period of time and then we'll make an update video on how well it's working. Thanks everybody.